Hey folks, Alkers here with a recap of a pretty epic FFA that took place from October 2021 through March 2022. It's 6 players starting out. We had myself and Jesse L, Mojo, PK Cell, and Vova7 Let all competing together in this cloud-based FFA in Old World. Really great. Very, very back and forth game. So gonna walk through how some of this came to pass here. We'll turn off the fog. So at the beginning, I'm playing Persia, the red here, and I spawn here right between Babylon and Assyria. Mojo is playing Babylon, and PK Cell is playing Assyria. Over here in the northwest, we've got Vova7's Egypt, Jesse L's Greece, and Anne's Rome. So zoom forward here. My initial leader was a schemer, so I ended up declaring war on everyone I met because I wanted additional orders. Schemers get +2 orders per act of war. This made diplomacy a little bit more challenging in that, although I reassured folks over Discord that, this is just me being a schemer, I'm not actually going to war with you, it seemed PK Cell took that negatively, so he began massing slingers as Assyria to attack me. And we started fighting a pretty bloody war, which was pretty intense. See, he founds a third city. At the same time, he's attacking my second city there. So at this point, I have actually called in Rome to the war. So I did some Discord diplomacy. I made sure Mojo to my north in Babylon was being peaceful. And I basically said, hey, I'm not going to be expanding north. I have my hands full with Assyria, and Mojo, being the kind gentleman that he is, took me at my word and was nice there. And at the same time, as a schemer, since I had so many orders from being at war with everyone, I had a huge pile of gold. And I essentially negotiated with And I will give you 2,000 gold. At the time, I didn't realize you can't trade gold, but we ended up trading gold equivalents through trade goods. I'll give you 2,000 gold if you march east and help me fight against Assyria. And hero that he is did that, and that enabled us to take down this Assyrian city. And you can see Rome gets it, and Assyria got founding cities and attacking. But this point, the tide is turning because we have 2 of us against 1 of him. You can see Rome is settling towards it as well. And Rome eventually would gift some of these cities to me, and then we would work together to take out the capital. PK Cell was a very determined opponent, did not surrender, and we fought until the end. You can see here his first city falls, it looks like around year 27-ish or so, 28. And then he keeps fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting for a bit. So yeah, he keeps fighting until year 56. That's 20 some years of determined fighting. Let's talk about what's going on in the West at the same time. As I've been scrolling through here, you might have been seeing that the orange blob is taking out some of the blue blob cities. So Vova7, who's a very skilled player, was apparently going for a classic strategy that we'd seen him use in another game where he's playing Egypt, which lets him get very quick unique units, the Kushite cavalry, and then combining that with a tech towards swordsmen. So he's got anti-infantry units in swordsman, and then he's got Kushite units for ranged with his unique unit, 8 strength on both. And he was going for that, and he's attacking, I think he had macemen at this point, and he was attacking Greece with those macemen and pushing in towards Greece. So you can see the Egyptian power grows there, and he's captured all the way down to the east at the same time that looks like Rome and I finally have eliminated Assyria, and Greece is eliminated soon after. So at this point in the game, I am on my second leader and am trying to figure out, well, I had just played a game a couple months before where Vova7 did exactly that same thing, and I was worried he was going to do that again. He is very skilled as an aggressive player, and I still had PTSD from that game where there were swordsmen and Kushite cavalries by turn 50. Fortunately, he didn't quite have that great a tech roll, and there were some patches that made the tech cost much, much higher than it would have otherwise been. So credit to him for keeping with the strategy, even though the games, as is the case for cloud games, long clock games in particular, patches will change things, and some strategies that you thought were going to work at the start of the game don't work. So credit to Vova to sticking with that. So we were worried about that and did a little bit more diplomacy. The nice thing over cloud games is you can do diplomacy pretty easily over Discord, send people messages, be like, hey, I'm really worried about what's going on with Egypt. If I saw him conquer everyone in the last game, we had a three-way alliance and we were unable to stop him. So let's start a three-way alliance here and declare war. And so Mojo and I all negotiated that we were going to try to stop Egypt because we were worried about his tech. We saw he had unique units out and swordsmen, and we were super worried. So we coordinated a simultaneous attack, if you will. You can see here Rome taking some cities and Mojo taking Vova's capital, and Vova as a champion fought towards the end and eventually finally resigned, and the AI took over as Mojo kept capturing. So at this point, you see I'm still Persia, very much in third place in terms of points. So what I essentially, Mojo and I sort of said, how are we going to resolve the game? We've clearly limited Vova. We don't necessarily want to go to war with each other. And I think Mojo proposed, what if we have peace until turn 100? And at the time, and I agreed. So, kept capturing Egyptian cities. And then at one point, we still had peace here and had basically conquered this city from the Egyptian AI. But Mojo cheekily snuck in a unit and actually took the city, even though it was almost completely surrounded by Roman forces and very low health, but he snuck in and took it. And that led me and Anne to renegotiate the terms of our peace agreement. And I sent a role-playing message basically saying that Persia feels that it's been denied the gains that it should have from its cooperation in the war in the West, and please gift me some Egyptian cities, otherwise by turn 90 I will agree. I will declare war. And I secretly agreed as well. We would both declare war on turn 90 because Mojo at this point was maybe 10 points away from winning the game, and I think I did the math and was like, okay, once he takes this city, and a couple culture gains, there's some wonders in this city, he's going to have enough points to win the game. 45 points here, you can see, was the top. So we decided, okay, well, we got to stop that because there's no point playing the game and just peacefully watching him win. And we gave him notice somewhere around turn 82 or so that, hey, we're going to attack. Or open season in 90 or previous agreement is null. We're not going to wait until turn 100 and just watch you win the game. We are going to attack. So we did that, and then turn 90 rolls around, and essentially we go to war with Babylonia. And I didn't see what was going on here because I didn't have scouts on vision, so I'm not sure. But I think the majority of Mojo's forces here were concentrated defending Rome, and I had a bunch of cataphract archers that I had lined up here, and they just swept in. You can see Babylon has already fallen in year 91, so the 1 year into the war. I've just flooded cataphract archers across the border, and I use them to great effect, zooming across the Babylonian Empire here and just capturing city after city. And Rome also is capturing some of these cities. And here, I think it was all down to sort of who's capturing more cities more quickly. Cataphract archers are fearsome and fast at 8 strength, and I don't think I saw an 8 strength unit from Anne until a little later. And it's possible Mojo had much of his forces down there as well. So the AI, after Mojo resigned, after losing Babylon, sort of slowed Anne down. It was a very, very close game. Had Anne taken these 3 cities, Wassa and 2 of the others, he would have been the winner at this point. I think he was planning also in post-game discussion, he said he was planning to attack here and try to take one of my cities here, which had a religious wonder. Let me illustrate some of these cities. So this is one of my cities here. It's got a religious wonder. So if Anne were to move some forces in here and take this, he would get 3 points, and I would lose 3 points. Lose more than 3 points, actually, because the culture resets when a city is captured. So this would go down to 1, but you keep the 2 points from the wonder as it changes hands. And you can see we've captured a bunch of wonders. No one's legendary yet. It's turn 90. We were playing this on the good difficulty on an inland sea, a large inland sea map. So you can see some of these cataphract archers spread out all over. You see and massing some forces here, perhaps for an attack, except for I cheekily was able to minor this city. I had 43 points at the start of this turn, and then just minored this for an instant 2-point win. I just captured 2 cities, or 1 city, and then 2 cities had grown in culture, and I was pretty close to getting a couple more cultural cities growing up as well. And here you see some of my cataphract armory archers lined up ready to defend, but was hoping I didn't need to go to war with. And because he had been such a stalwart ally, in fact, had ridden to support me in the initial early war against Assyria that was happening down here. These were the 3 cities involved, and you had slingers coming over the hills, and it was not looking good at one point. I think on turn 17, I have a screenshot where I had a warrior that was injured and a slinger hiding from 3 Assyrian slingers coming over the border. And that's, I think, when I started diplomacy to try to get Ant or someone to come help. And it worked out really well for me. I did not expect to win this game, given where we started there. And it was a really, really enjoyable game. And I want to show off, there's a new feature. This patch, there's this records view where you can see some stats in terms of who's produced the number of workers, who's produced the number of military units. You can also see resource production, so civics production. You can see a nice little graph. Looks like, I guess these stats didn't start getting recorded until somewhere around turn 43. Look, again, this game has been going on since October, but once they start getting recorded, you can see sort of, I think perhaps the biggest one is going to be the training production. I invested a lot in training and getting some specialists up and running, and just you can see that training power, and maybe the military score is even more indicative of what's going on here. So this is it doesn't start, you don't see the records until turn 50, so you'll miss the early war, but you can see Egypt getting attacked, had a really strong curve. Babylon and Egypt were pretty equal, but then when I and Rome attacked Egypt, Egypt started going down pretty quickly. And then you can see the moment here when Babylon gets attacked at 90 and the curve diminishes very quickly. And you can just see the pretty insane power spike of just when I finally was able to stabilize my empire and focus and not have to deal with an early war, was just really able to take off. And I had a commander leader who was amazing. And one of the things you get as a commander leader is you can build units or orders. So I was able to go in through here and just power in cataphract archers and rush them out with spare orders, especially since I had only a couple cities and didn't have that much I could do. So I had a lot of spare orders, so I ended up doing that and then gaining a bunch of additional training and upgrading all those units all at once, basically, once I got my 6th law and got that citadel completed, and then marching north, which was pretty awesome. You can see the territory owned graph here as Egypt starts losing, and then as Babylon starts losing, and then the rapid conquest as Persia just conquers so much so quickly. It's definitely a very, very interesting map. Very interesting just gameplay back and forth. I think this is the FFA format, the Cloud FFA format, in fact, showcases some of the favorite parts of Old World in that you've got diplomacy, you've got a nice complicated map game, a great war game, tech, just very interesting and sort of fascinating gameplay. And yes, this game took 6 or so months to complete, but credit to everyone for playing their turns. I think we overall together played probably over 500 turns in total. Just sending it back over the cloud game. Really nice, simple, wonderful interface. Just really enjoyable game here, where we were able to have a great conflict and lots of back and forth, and definitely did not expect to win this game, given how dire the straits were around this city. The straits were around this city with Assyrian attacks on their way. Take a look at some of these other graphs. Apparently, I had a really good time with wood production compared to everyone else, largely probably because I had these river farms, river lumber mills up and running. There's some here and then some here, which really enabled that power. Stone production, Egypt was well ahead of everyone else in stone. But then I think I somehow managed to get ahead with just that peaceful development. Had some stone here, and I think, I didn't have that many forces when I rode to support the war effort against Egypt, but I was able to build up behind that and use diplomacy to potentially build a win, although we'll see how future FFAs go now that I've shown myself to be a reliable partner. I never declared on end, so but I did win the game, and I'm sure he thought he had this one in the bag. Yeah, iron production, similarly, food production. Babylon apparently went way up in terms of food production early on. Order economy, Persia is so strong in terms of orders. This graph, I think, shows just free orders. So if you have workers doing stuff, they will reduce the value on this graph, which is why it's zigzagging up and down. But Egypt had a really great order economy early on, and the fact that I had a schemer leader for so long really helped bolster my economy and gave me, I think I had 20 or so spare orders every turn early on, which turned into that gold pile that let me basically recruit and to come and attack PK's Assyria. So yeah, just a really fun game. And yeah, and then here's the money graph. Egypt again off to an early strong start. Then Rome had a great economy, and then once I conquer everything that used to be Babylon, my economy is in really great shape. One of the more important graphs here, science. So Egypt going off to a very early science lead, 100 science at turn 60 compared to me at 60, and Mojo, Babylon at 80, and Rome at 70. So very dominant science lead. Once Egypt gets attacked, you see Rome takes the science lead there. I think they had some scholar leaders potentially. I remember seeing some increase in their capital at 137 science, and Mojo also in a strong science position. And I did not really get my science game going until later, but somehow managed to pick up the right techs on the right way and just build a concentrated force of units and go to war with them. Similarly, the training graph here, just invest in building training and getting those units out the door. And civics graph as well. Pretty zigzaggy because some of this is, if you're building specialists, you're going to have this way down. I was mass building specialists to try to get training, so you'll see as this graph goes up, then the training graph really explodes once I stop building specialists and they're all online. Territory and territory explored. Because I had a schemer start with 2 scouts, I could basically explore so much of the map, which gave me a lot of legitimacy early on, which fueled more orders and so on. So that let me see everyone, because I wanted to declare war on everyone so that I could get those early orders, and it just really, snowballed schemers are incredibly powerful to start out with. So that's that game. Really enjoyable FFA that took 6 months to play, and just particularly fun and lots of back and forth, and definitely want to thank and Jesse L and Mojo and PKR Cell and Bova 7 Let for the really great game, and looking forward to continuing to play old world cloud games. And yeah, this was really fun.